Hey, welcome back. So I have not been given a lot of stock picks on this channel. It's been mainly gambling, sports, that kind of stuff. But on the website, aags.online, I do have lots of stock information, lots of picks, lots of seasonal trends and things like that. That's really what I geared my investing towards. For my upcoming pick, and I have written about it already, but I just want to go over it and kind of explain why I like it so much. The next pick I have coming up is H&R Block. I had initially written it down as a buy on March 22nd, which is still fine, but I think we can even drill it down a little bit, or I should say buy it a little bit earlier than that. I do already have some, so just be aware I am long this position right now. Um, if we look back at the history of H&R Block, first things first, of course, it's a tax company, a tax preparation company, so you would expect them to do well throughout the tax season. Right now, we're kind of in the middle of that tax season. I myself work in the financial industry, so I know this is really their busy time of year, just like it is for me. That being said, if you look at their stock, they don't really do well in this time of year. So let's look at March, and this is going back to 2017, kind of a lower spot here on their graph if you're looking at your screen. Again in 2018, again in 2019, and the trend continues, and it happens. Now 2020 obviously was COVID, or kind of COVID adjacent, so keep that in mind. But the trend is March is just typically not a good month for them, and if you look at the reasoning why, it's because while most of their business is coming in and is being created in the March timeframe, they're not really being able to report that to anybody. No one is getting to know what their final numbers are at the end of the day, at the end of the week, at the end of the month. So the information and the sales that they are generating right now is great, but we won't really get to see that until about June. And the reason for that is when their next earnings report comes out that is going to portray this tax season and the sales that they got within this season. So first, let me just show you a quick little trend here. So like I said, March usually not a good time for them. If you go back to March 2017, this is March 10th, about the second week or so of March, they were $23. June, like I was saying, kind of their up period for the stock. June 23rd, they were at $31. So just going, rough math here, that's roughly about a 30% gain. So not bad for a pretty quick little hold and turn there. Coming back to 2018, we see them at, I'm going to take a little bit of a higher number with them here, $27.05. And June, second week of June, $29. So roughly about a 10% gain there. Now, depending on when you bought it in March, you might have had a bigger gain because if you had waited another week, the price did slip a little bit. But either way, even if you bought it at the high point, about a 10% return for what amounts to, less than the 3-month hold. 2019, it's going to be more of the same, but I'm just going to show you anyways. If you had bought it at 24.35, which is again, you could have waited a little bit longer, but that's fine. 24.35. If you sold that June, first, second week of June, 28.69. So closer to about a 20% gain there. 2020 is going to be a ridiculous gain, and that's just because again COVID. So you have COVID smack dab in the middle of March, drops it down to $13. If you followed our regular plan, you sold it first week of June, it went to 18. So from 13 to 18, that's almost, or actually go to about 19. So that is about a 50% gain, again, in about less than 3 months of a hold. So it's not going to be a 50% gain. At least that's not what I'm projecting, but I am projecting more of like a 10 to 20% gain. If you kind of want to see what I'm talking about with the earnings, I do have that here as well. So 2018, we look at it, we had the consensus estimate of 527 for their earnings. And again, this was June 2018 reporting for the final quarter of the previous year. Their actual reported was 543, so they did beat estimates. If you come further up and kind of get a little bit more recent, 2019, and just notice the quarters before and after their June quarters. So before we get to June, negative, negative, negative. June, they're 1, turn around their one positive spot in a year, and it's huge because you go from being a negative estimate on earnings per share of 55 cents, negative 93 cents, negative 77 cents to positive. The estimate was positive $4.11. Actually came out to 4.32. So again, they beat estimates. If we go further up to 2020, their consensus estimate was 261, and they again beat the estimate and came in at 301. So they are consistently beating estimates here. They beat it for at least the last 3 years, and actually more than that going further back. But the important part is, again, this is their one hot period of the time. This year, just like any other year, everyone's going to have to file their taxes, and there has been more of a push on filing your taxes, getting it done early. If you've been paying attention at all to the news, when you're listening to stimulus check talk or some sort of bailout or payout for college loans, anything that you have heard on the news, it's going to relate to your taxes, meaning you want to file those taxes to get the biggest advantage, and you want to file those taxes as soon as possible. Aside from that, there's a lot of people that just lost their job, they lost income, so they're really dependent on these tax returns getting to them as soon as possible, making it as quickly as possible. And one of the biggest things for H&R Block is being able to give you a short-term loan, almost like a payday loan, where they'll give you the money from your tax return up front and you pay it back when you actually get the money from the IRS. But they do make some fees on that, they do make some interest on that, and that's a lot of their business plan. So even though you file for free, they definitely have ways of making their money. So keep this in mind. Their March March earnings report comes out on March 9th, which is next Tuesday. Look for that for them to basically either barely meet or miss their estimate. Once we see that come out, price is probably going to dip just a little bit. I'm probably going to wait until about Thursday or Friday to make that purchase, which comes out to about March 11th or 12th. The reason I wait for a minute is you have people that jump in before the earnings report, hoping for a little bump, a little pop in the price if they do meet or if they exceed their earnings estimates. Those short sellers or those day traders, I guess for lack of better words, typically sell either day of or the day after the earnings report comes out. So those people should probably be out of the market by the 10th or 11th at the very latest. And then it's really going to kind of wait and see what the price does. If the price is still dipping or if it's kind of leveled off on the 11th, I might take a bite there. If it is still dipping, I'll wait until the 12th and then make a bigger lot purchase on the 12th, which is a Friday. Keep all that in mind. Like I said, H&R Block, that's my next pick. I do expect 10 to 20% gain. It's not a crazy amount. You're not going to retire on it. It's not some marvelous get rich quick scheme, but it's going to just be another chip that we're going to add to our bankroll here when it comes to stocks. You're going to keep stacking these up throughout the year, get 10% here, 5% there, 3% here, and towards the end of the year, you'll see it's added up, and you end up with these 40, 50, 60% gains in a year. Really great if you're kind of a smaller investor. Maybe you're just putting your foot in the water here. Maybe you got inspired by GameStop. Either way, I encourage you, take a look at my website, aags.online. If you have any questions whatsoever, comment on the website, comment below, give me a like, subscribe. I'll try and put more and more stock videos. Now that I'm kind of out of the football season, I'll be focusing more on stocks. But if there is anything else I can help with, anything you want me to dig more into, please feel free to let me know. And I will have some more picks, some more, again, short-term picks, some more seasonal things coming up with the stock market. So stay tuned. You have a great day.